the secret world of alien abductions. A very important issue, which many supporters of the benevolent alien scenario seem to completely miss, distort or deny, is the topic of alien abductions. For the layman, who has never looked into it seriously, it may be a topic to make fun of, making jokes about anal probing and such, but anyone who has ever researched that field knows that the picture is not very funny. There is a high strangeness to this whole abduction phenomena, which is hard to explain. Many abductions are not that obvious, and can only be retraced through hypnosis, as the aliens seem to have an ability to mind control their victim, erase memory, manipulate space and time, as well as implant certain thoughts, emotions, everything from bliss to indifference, and even false memories of what really went on in an abduction, with a hyperspace technology that makes our technology look like the Stone Age. Some abductions have been reported fully conscious without hypnosis, and there seem to be many similarities between the stories of thousands of reported abduction cases worldwide. This is not just in the United States phenomena, independently, showing a rather disturbing picture. David M. Jacobs, PhD, has been doing research in the UFO abduction field for over 40 years, published several books, and has worked with thousands of abductees, mostly using hypnosis techniques to reveal these experiences. He states, "My research is based on more than 42 years of UFO research. In addition, since 1986 I have conducted over 1,000 hypnotic regressions with abductees. I have tried to be as objective and as agenda-free as possible. I have no New Age, spiritual, religious, transformational, or transcendent program to promote. I try to stay as close to the evidence as I can. However, there is no possibility that I have avoided error. The majority of evidence for the alien abduction phenomenon is from human memory derived from hypnosis. It is difficult to imagine a weaker form of evidence. But it is evidence, and we have a great deal of it." Admitting to the difficulty of researching the abduction phenomena, there is no film, picture evidence. Jacobs, however, rules out the idea that abductions are just a psychological, imaginary issue. Too many accounts from too many unrelated people tell the same developing stories over and over, which just don't fit into any psychological frame. So, how does a typical abduction look like? Jacobs describes it in a nutshell. Abductions are a complex series of events and procedures directed by the abductors to passive or controlled abductees. In a typical or common abductions, humans are taken out of their normal environment by aliens. The people are rendered passive and cannot resist. They are taken aboard a UFO, their clothes are removed, and they are made to lie on a table. A series of physical, mental, and productive procedures are then administered to the subjects. People's physical bodies are probed and examined. Sperm is taken, eggs are harvested. The aliens perform staring procedures, during which they gaze into abductees' eyes at a distance of only an inch or two. These mind-scan procedures appear to be neurological manipulations, which give the aliens the ability to enter into people's minds. After the table procedures, abductees report that they are sometimes taken into other rooms, where they are required to have skin-on-skin contact with unusual-looking babies. Abductees say that these babies seem to be crosses between humans and aliens. They call them hybrids. Abductees also see hybrid toddlers, older youth, adolescents, and adults. Sometimes abductees report that they are required to perform tasks, that they are tested in some way. They say that machines are brought in to examine them. They sometimes are required to have a form of sexual intercourse with other humans, and sometimes with adolescent and adult hybrids. They are returned to their normal environment, and within seconds, they forget what has just happened to them. The individual abductee accounts are far more detailed. Not all are UFO related, some have to do with underground bases. Dr. Jacob says that after all these years of research and putting the pieces together, he can see a picture emerging. It looks like there is a program in the works with a certain goal, and that producing offspring may be one of the objectives behind the abduction phenomenon for the purpose of creating a hybrid race. Some skeptics blame Jacobs for inducing his own belief system through hypnotherapy into his clients and therefore creating false abduction accounts. However, this doesn't hold up with the evidence Jacobs and other researchers have come up with, much of it even without the use of any hypnotherapy. It only shows that skeptics haven't really looked into the research, and are more trying to validate their own belief system, rather than objectively looking for truth. In regards to the typical debunking of the abduction phenomena, be it through the scientific or spiritual community, Jacobs writes, "In my 40 years of UFO research, the last 20 of which spent studying the abduction phenomenon, I have learned a simple evident truism. All debunkers make one or more of three fundamental mistakes. They do not know the evidence, they ignore the evidence, or they distort the evidence. Any one of these errors would be catastrophic and perhaps even scientifically dishonest when writing about something of accepted scientific consequence. Believing in mistakes is tantamount to ignoring or to distorting the evidence." Unfortunately, when it comes to abductions, all debunkers comply with the evidence truism. There are no exceptions. Dr. Rick Strassman, author of The Spirit Molecule, hypothesizes that alien abductions are brought on by the accidental release of DMT produced by the pineal gland inside the brain. While conducting DMT research in the 1990s at the University of New Mexico, Dr. Strassman advanced the theory that a massive release of DMT from the pineal gland prior to death, or near death, was the cause of the near-death experience NDE phenomenon. Several of his test subjects reported NDE-like audio or visual hallucinations, while others also reported contact with other beings, alien-like, insectoid or reptilian in nature, in highly advanced technological environments, where the subjects were carried, probed, tested, manipulated, dismembered, taught, loved, and even raped by these beings. It is interesting to note how similar the accounts of his test subjects, who were administered DMT intravenously, are in comparison to what can be found in abduction research. DMT certainly is a mystery molecule that seems to open doorways to another world reality. However, Strassman's theory that abduction experiences are caused by the accidental release of DMT seems to be short-sighted when taking a closer look into the alien abductions scenario. A respected researcher and abductee herself had been Carla Turner, Ph.D. She authored 3 books on the abduction phenomenon: Into the Fringe, Taken, and Masquerade of Angels. Dr. Carla Turner died of a strange fast-acting cancer in 1996, after being threatened for her work. She was just 48 years old. Dr. Turner confirmed the work of Jacobs. However, she thinks that the creation of a hybrid race is not the whole picture, as there are many cases of abductions that show different behaviors and agendas. She really must have struck a chord, as she was harassed by agents and military alike throughout her life until her death. According to her research, Dr. Turner believes that humans are being used as a resource by these aliens in many ways. The evidence shows that the aliens do harvest from us in a number of ways, emotionally and energetically as well as physically. There are even reported scenarios of facilities in which human bodies are processed, and many such reports come from people unfamiliar with ufological literature. Here is part of a list she put together based on countless abduction accounts, research and analysis. In every instance from this list, there are multiple reports from unrelated cases, confirming that such bizarre details are not the product of a single deranged mind. These details are convincing evidence that, contrary to the claims of many UFO researchers, the abduction experience isn't limited to a uniform pattern of events. This phenomenon simply can't be explained in terms of crossbreeding experiments or scientific research into the human physiology. Aliens can alter our perception of our surroundings. Aliens can control what we think we see. They can appear to us in any number of guises and shapes. Aliens can take our consciousness out of our physical bodies, disable our control of our bodies, install one of their own entities, and use our bodies as vehicles for their own activities, before returning our consciousness to our bodies. Aliens can be present with us in an invisible state, and can make themselves only partially visible. Aliens take body fluids from our necks, spines, blood veins, joints such as knees and wrists, and other places. They also inject unknown fluids into various parts of our bodies. A surprising number of abductees suffer from serious illnesses they didn't have before their encounters. These have led to surgery, debilitation, and even death from causes the doctors can't identify. Some abductees experience a degeneration of their mental, social, and spiritual well-being. Excessive behavior frequently erupts, such as drug abuse, alcoholism, overeating, and promiscuity. The strange obsessions develop and cause the disruption of normal life and the destruction of personal relationships. Aliens show a great interest in adult sexuality, child sexuality, and in inflicting physical pain on abductees. Abductees recall being instructed and trained by aliens. This training may be in the form of verbal or telepathic lessons, slideshows, or actual hands-on instruction in the operation of alien technology. Abductees report being taken to facilities, in which they encounter not only aliens but also normal-looking humans, sometimes in military uniforms, working with the alien captors. Abductees often encounter more than one sort of alien during an experience, not just the greys. Every possible combination of gray, reptoid, insectoid, blonde, and widow's peak have been seen during single abductions, aboard the same craft or in the same facility. Abductees report seeing other humans in these facilities being drained of blood, being mutilated, flayed, and dismembered, stacked, lifeless like cords of wood. Some abductees have been threatened that they, too, will end up in this condition if they don't cooperate with their alien captors. Aliens have forced their human abductees to have sexual intercourse with aliens and even with other abductees, while groups of aliens observe these performances. In such encounters, the aliens have sometimes disguised themselves in order to gain the cooperation of the abductee, appearing in such forms as Jesus, the Pope, certain celebrities, and even the dead spouses of the abductees. Aliens make predictions of an imminent period of global chaos and destruction. They say that a certain number of humans will be rescued from the planet in order to continue the species, either on another planet or back on Earth after the destruction is over. Many abductees report they don't believe their alien captors, and foresee instead a much more sinister use of the rescued humans. Dr. Carla Turner gives a very interesting lecture on this topic shortly before her death in 1995.